seeker once again, and in this video I'm going to give you like a breakdown of what the WRC experience in Kenya is. So there's a lot of talk that usually goes about some of these events, especially the WRC. It has the connotation of, you know, going to the Vashas, doing a lot of crazy things. But yeah, there's more to the experience than just that, and that's exactly what I'm going to break down in this video. So I'm going to break it down in about 4 to 5 categories, and that has to do with planning. That's right even before you leave your resident, in our case Nairobi, to how you get here, what you should follow, what you should do, how much you're gonna spend, where to stay, and such like stuff. So it's going to cover about all the experience you're going to get in this place. So let's start with planning. One thing you need to realize when you're coming to such a place is that movement is key, because all these stages of WRC are going to take place in different places. Yes, generally it's in Naivasha, but to be honest, there are some far-flung areas like Soisambu, which you might have to think about how you'll move, say, from Naivasha to Soisambu. Usually I've found that most of these stages are about 40 minutes away from each other, others up to 1.5 hours. So you can imagine how this is gonna be crazy, especially if you don't have a means of transport. So the first thing to consider when you're planning is, preferably if you don't have a car, get yourself either a friend who you can come with, or you might rent out a car, for example. So once that is done, you're gonna have to think about what are you going to carry to such a place. First of all, for the past 2 years, we've seen that it takes about 4 days. So that means you need to plan for the 4 days. Well, I know there are some of you who will just go out there and figure it out as you move. Well, if that works for you, that's great, but I feel like there are some things you have to know. First, where are you gonna spend the night? For example, say you come here on Thursday, so that's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and I'd say Sunday night, because as it ends on Sunday, that's where all the interesting things are gonna happen. The podium, say, the winners being awarded, you know, popping the champagne and sorts, and of course the end of event party that usually goes wild in these areas. Yeah, so having said that, think of where you're going to stay. In my experience, if you are really a good reveler, you might not need a place to stay, but well, you're gonna get tired at some point. So in that case, you must have someone who's dedicated to moving you guys around, such that if you end up partying the entire night, you still have someone who's in a position to like move you around, to make most of the good decisions for you, and even be like the voice of reason for the whole crew. I know that sounds too nerdy, but yeah, you need it. So secondly, if you are going to stay, I'd probably suggest get yourself an Airbnb. And these days they are cheap, for as cheap as even 3,500 for a residence that could host you for a night. So if you are to do, say, the 4 days, that might end up costing you about 3,500 times 4 days. That's about 12 to 15K. So if you have that, well and good. If you don't, find yourself who live around here in Naivasha or Nakuru. Those are areas within the proximity of the action, and this can help you big time. Now, having sorted the accommodation, you're going to want to eat too. So again, you don't want to come here for 4 days and just survive on, you know, drinks and snacks and those other things you like to engage in. You're going to want to maybe have a proper meal, for example. After a day of standing and cheering for your favorite driver, you need to nourish yourself. So there are several areas here in Naivasha, but I have to give you a disclaimer in the sense that most of them are targeted towards tourists, and in such a time when they know that there's a lot of different people from different locations, even globally or regionally, are going to be coming here, the prices might shoot a bit. So technically budget properly for your meals, and if possible, and this is what I'd recommend the most, come here prepared with your own stuff and cook. Now, you might not have a jeep or that experience, the outdoor experience, but get yourself a gas, for example, get yourself cooking stuff that you can do on the go, and come here, set up your stuff, fry your bacon, fry your eggs, just do all the easy food to make that you can do out here. That will save you a lot from those expensive foods that might not even be what you are looking for ultimately. Yeah, if possible, if you can achieve that, have your own setup. Now, having sorted the meal, the next thing would probably be one thing that I feel that you also have to consider when you're planning is the traffic. Unfortunately, you've seen those crazy videos where people literally sleep on the Nakuru Naivasha highway or the Naivasha Nairobi highway. It's not even a joke. We've been through it, and we can tell you it is something that sometimes it might be out of your control based on where the stage or the heat is going to happen, but there are some workarounds to this, and there's something that I'll discuss later in the movement segment. So for me, I feel like if you really want to avoid traffic, just block the days that you know you're going to be here off. If possible, take an off from your job and don't be in a hurry whatsoever, because I hate to tell this to you, but the traffic is part of the experience. The slow, painstaking, long waits in the car as you're waiting for the roads to clear out, that to me has certainly been part of the experience. Yeah, so do this. Try come early, and you want to go to the stage of the area where the rallies are going to start. So for example, for this event, it started at there was a shakedown in Kasarani, so that would have been a very good place to catch the first action. After Kasarani, I think they moved all the way to Naivasha. I think the Kenya Wildlife Service facility somewhere close to Naivasha town. After that, they moved the next day to Soisambu, and finally it's ending here at Hell's Gate. For example, you came here on Thursday, right? You'd probably need to have somewhere you're gonna spend the night on that night when it happens over there, when they're flagged off at Naivasha town. So that means either get all the restaurants that are within that area. If you're a party person, you're lucky because usually those after parties per night after every race usually happens in a location close to that area where you're going to, where the races will end. So I'd say for that part you are sorted. Again, if you came with your own car, you could end up spending the night in your car if it's comfortable enough. Okay, so for the second part is that now when you start moving to places like Sleeping Warrior, which are a bit far-flung, you might want also to think about, are you coming back to Naivasha town or are you going to find another place elsewhere? I find it that usually the best tip is to know how the schedule is gonna go and make sure that the night before you've planned to be in that new area by say 8 in the morning, because that's when most of these things are flagged off. So in our case, for example, we arrived here on Saturday because of one reason or another. So we were chasing the one at Soisambu, but now shock on us, we spent about 4 to 6 hours on traffic and ended up reaching Soisambu when all the action had happened. So you can imagine going all the way to Soisambu and then suddenly meeting your favorite rally drivers on their way back to where they rest or rather do their service back at Naivasha. So what happened is that we called it a loss and started planning for the next day now, that would be today, when now we are recording this video at Hell's Gate. So that just gives you an idea of what you need to do. So again, besides the aspect of traffic, I find it that if you can manage it, try traveling between midnight, though just make sure to be safe, have a designated driver, don't be in a hurry, just move slowly, and between that time and 8 o'clock in the morning. Or you could do it during the noon if you are really not waiting for, or rather if you visited an area that the rally is not going to end at. So it's just a way of checking when are the most people going to be moving from one place to another, and I find that that's usually when one race is ended in one place. So try to either leave earlier, or if you are not in a hurry, stay a bit later and go to the next place. Alright, so I'll get to my favorite part, and that's basically my tips on how you're going to get the best experience. To be honest, you can't be in all the stages at the same time. You can't make it to all the different stages that are going to be, or rather where they're going to do their rallies for the entire 4 days. So my tip is get 4 of the most famous areas, and in my experience this would be some place like Sleeping Warriors. You can go to Soisambu if you don't mind the distance, and also you can come here where the previous one and this one is going to end here at Hell's Gate. So those are 3, and also make sure to be in the shakedown in, say, Kasarani or whichever place is going to be flagged off. I can guarantee you that the experience you'll get in those 4 areas, say Kasarani, Soisambu, Sleeping Warrior, or maybe here at Hell's Gate, is going to be a good representation of every other thing you'll maybe go through in those other events. So if you can't make it to all of the 4, just do 2. Do the last event, which probably would be the Hell's Gate or somewhere else, because that has the most people, that has the most action, it's literally the finals. You're getting to see who wins, and everything is just coming to an end suddenly, and you realize that you have to go back to work and, back to life. So it's the most promising. Make it to the last one, and preferably you can do Sleeping Warrior, because it gives you a chance to explore this area, the Naivasha area, a bit more. And I feel like for that would be okay. That will save you from moving unnecessarily, trying to chase your own tail and missing all of them at a go. Okay, so I hope that video has been quite helpful and given you just a glimpse of what you can experience with the WRC Safari Rally in Kenya. I know I couldn't cram all of the experience in one video, but if you feel like there's something that you might need to know or a question you might ask, just paste it in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to show you. But ultimately, there's a lot you can do here. Just another pro tip is come here with friends, come here with fun people, so you don't end up being bored, because what you come all the way here to see happens in a split second. Once that car is gone, you are left with dust, and if you don't have really interesting people, you are likely to get bored. Also, plan yourself properly so you get the most fun without being worried of, oh, it has started raining, how am I going to get back to my hotel room, or how am I going to get back to Naivasha, or wherever you're going to pitch your tent or hang out with your friends. So with that, again, thanks for watching, and kindly subscribe, and let's explore all these Kenyan experiences together.
Watu wanaelekea kitu bila bumper.